Hey, so what's up?
Crypto, I think you just mentioned that earlier, so I'm going to steal your punchline.
Yeah, that's fine. All for the show, right?
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, so I wanted to talk about, well, I said let's before we start thanking God that the market is up, we it could just be a bounce, right? And before we thank God, we need to see if this is just a short term bounce or not. So maybe we could talk about whether or not we think this is a bounce, so or it's actually a move back up. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I think it goes back to the video we made a few days ago about news changing the markets as much as they do. And you have Elon Musk tweeting, and you have Ray Dalio, getting in the market and talking about it. And those two things, I think, contributed greatly to the upward swing that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just waiting for the next bit of news to come out, and hopefully it will also be positive. But I mean, good things do come in threes, right?
It is just so crazy with the Elon Musk tweets. Like, I is he I mean, is it all part of a plan, or is he just that impulsive? Cryptos are great, cryptos are terrible, cryptos are great. I mean, what
I
the
guess we're getting some more insight into how eccentric he actually is. And I don't know. I mean, maybe he has some personal conflicts going on with crypto.
I mean, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, if one person's tweets can affect the cryptos that much, then it's all stupid crap anyway, and you should just get out." And I don't really see it that way. I don't see his tweets are affecting the market so much. I see that the people who have sway over the markets are using his tweets as reasons to be able to send it up or down.
I don't know. I
Um,
think you have a bunch of people in the market that just don't know any better, and they listen to whatever Elon Musk says, and they do whatever Elon Musk is doing. I mean, you can go back and look at the Tesla stock story for the same reasons. He says something, it's up. He says, good news, bad news type of thing. I think this news thing is way too powerful, and I think that's something that you and I need to really talk about with our audience here is do you let the news really impact you as much as it is? I mean, I think the news is short term. And the good news is that when they make their negative comments, we get to buy crypto on sale. It's just whether or not the crypto is going to go back up. And I think one of the things that we're seeing very clearly today is that no matter how many naysayers there are out there, there's real value behind crypto. And that's why we also see it going up today. And I hope that many of the people that jumped out of crypto will reconsider their position and their strategy going forward as they get to know how to work in the crypto market a little bit better. But we know over the last couple weeks, it's been absolutely people who fear and they don't know the markets, they're immature in the markets, and they're just selling out like crazy, and they're selling it right over to the people that are very sophisticated. And that's an issue.
that is a huge issue. Yeah, absolutely. And really, that's a big part of what these videos are about, right? Is helping our audience round out their picture and their information to make it easier for them to make those kinds of decisions, right? So you and
100%.
I, so you and I, I sent you, well, I sent you a funny picture. I don't know if you saw that,
I
but
did.
it was basically, yeah. So for the audience, it's like when you're down at the bottom and it starts going up, it's like, oh, this looks good, and it starts going down again. This looks terrible, and then it starts going up again. This looks great. This looks terrible. This looks great. And then when it finally goes on its way back up again, you're like, oh, I knew all along this was going up, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, let's just look at what you and I are doing. We're trying to be the smart money. We spend a lot of time looking at this information. So our picture is far more rounded out than maybe the average crypto investor. And so we were while I didn't buy, I did buy on the way down, and now that it's come up a bit, those purchases, it's right around where I made those purchases. So I'm feeling okay. And again, it comes back to the original question of, does it go up from here, or is this just a short-term bounce and it might make a lower low? Now, even if it does make a lower low, which if you just look from the manipulation side, my only concern is that, I mean, I think market-wise, it should start heading back up. And with the news, it looks like they're ready to push it up. But if you're a manipulator and you're powerful in this industry, I just keep thinking like, boy, one more lower low would really shake out a lot of people. That's the only concern that I have on my mind.
But why
But
why
this
would
bounce is,
anyone want to do that that's looking to gain and benefit from it? So if I'm a whale or that type of influencer, unless I'm absolutely dead set against cryptocurrency, it would almost be a fatal blow at this point, right?
yeah, and I've considered that too, but I don't know. Like this jolt downwards was so brutal that you could almost make the same argument, maybe not to quite the same degree, but it was a brutal jolt downward too at the same time. And I think ultimately they know that when the markets come back up, it doesn't really matter what happened in the past. People will start piling in again once it starts making higher highs.
This
So
is true. People have such short-term memories, right? Give them a couple weeks and they'll be right back in.
it's, and I'm not sure it's just people with short-term memory, although I think you're right, but I also think maybe they're fine with destroying the people who were in the market, and we'll get new people in on the next swing.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows, right? People that will be investing with them as opposed to investing independently. Maybe that's what they're trying to do is shake out the retail investor that's independent. Who knows? What I have noticed too, and I want to kind of mention it, is that every time Bitcoin seems to be getting up towards 40, I noticed a bunch of whales enter the market. And when I say a bunch, it's probably around the tune of about 4,000 or 5,000 Bitcoins that move into the market to be sold off on Binance or Coinbase or Bitfinex or so on and so forth. And I've been seeing that happening over and over again over the last few days. Those are the things that give me concern, is that the whales, they're going to be opportunistic. They're going to want, if they've lost money here, they're trying to make money back. But I would just caution anyone who's trying to get into the market. You said, I'm not sure this is we're on our way up, or if we're not going to see another dip here. I would say for anyone that's trying to get in right now, buy cautiously into this market, right? And then what I would do is I'd put some on the sidelines and I'd wait to see if it dipped. And if it didn't dip, well, at least you preserve some capital for another rainy day. But if it does dip again, you won't feel so bad about the purchases you make right now.
Yeah, that I think that sounds pretty reasonable. The market has come up more at this point than I would have predicted if it was just a short-term bounce. So as far as I'm concerned, it's looking good. But like you said, as long as it's below, it's right around that 40,000 level for Bitcoin. As long as it's being held below that, I think we're still in touch and go territory. So
Right.
I guess we'll kind of look for it to be able to hold above 40,000 before we start really thinking it's basically, if it does, it's basically a V-shaped recovery.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to see it go over 46 before I start gaining any serious confidence that direction, right? And we could see that happen in an afternoon, quite frankly. But once we start getting away from the low or the high 30s, I think it's going to be harder for it to retrace those steps, because we are seeing volume, we are seeing the market cap go back up. So there is a lot of buying activity. What we don't want is opportunistic manipulators coming into the market and doing exactly what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. And I think the more it happens, the less the market's going to respond to it. I really do think that hopefully people will wise up. And again, through these types of educational videos and informative videos that we're making, as well as others, people hopefully will start catching on and they won't be so willing to hit the sell button to the opportunists.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of crazy because you do eventually have to be ready for the bubble to burst. and
Sure.
eventually, like you can't get in the mindset of just, I mean, unless your time frame is years and years and years, then it's fine. Just hold through every up and down. But if you want to bank some profits, at some point you have to be nimble enough to say, okay, this is different. I'm not just going to hold, and it's not going to go back up. I'm going to take some profits out, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
let me ask you this, because I've been hearing a lot of talk about people talking about the difference between in how different types of recoveries here will play out. Now, I think just as far as us sweating it out, we all in the short term would be happy to see a V-shaped recovery and for it to just shoot back up and make higher highs. But a lot of people are saying, a lot of people that I respect are saying that the longer it takes to recover, the better it is for the long-term outlook of this market. It means likely we'll have a longer bull run, and with a longer bull run, we will reach higher eventual prices. And I'm kind of on board with that to some degree. I mean, part of me is like, oh, please just go back up and stop punishing me, right? But
Yeah.
the trader in me knows that really, I think there's some truth to that in the long run, it's probably better for this bull market run. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, just like we can't really explain why it went down as hard as it did and as deep as it did, it would be equally as hard to understand why it would just bounce up to 64,000 again without there being some real value to be understood and real technical analysis out there to be understood as to why it did that. So we'd have to really take all that into consideration and see what's driving it. So I'm actually in agreement with that statement. I think that that's the right approach. Is if this thing goes back to 64, I might just sell everything, right? And be done because it has a really high probability of bouncing, right off of that high, right back to a new low. So I'm with you, and I hope that's what we see as a longer term recovery. I'm in this for the long haul, right? As are you, but yeah, I think a quick recovery is going to be something that we would regret down the road.
Yeah, that's a great take on that, and that sounds about right. Just hearing it from you, that sounds about right. So, as much as we'd like for it to just for our bank accounts or our crypto accounts to go back to where they were,
Yep.
I think it's best to hold steady and just let it move up at a good solid pace. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we should probably wrap up, but there's one more thing I want to comment on, and that's a lot of people who are new to cryptocurrency, they get into Coinbase, right? And they use Coinbase to do trading. I mean, it's known as kind of like the beginner environment for crypto trading. Um, you know, I'm actually I use Coinbase Pro personally, and the reason I use Coinbase Pro is that I'm able to put in a lot of orders into the market for the future, whether it be on the upside or the downside, preemptive orders that I don't have to think about that get executed sometimes even when I sleep. And then the next morning I wake up, I'm really happy or I'm really sad, depending on what order is executed, right? But I try to set those things up so I don't have to be in the market real time all the time, trying to understand, okay, where do I buy this and where do I sell that? I don't know Coinbase. I used it originally. That was my stepping stone to get into Coinbase Pro, but use Coinbase a little bit more. But do they have the same opportunity to make those type of future trades and put those into the market without having to be there to manually put those in?
No, I use both of them depending on what kind of order I'm doing or which crypto I'm talking about or how quickly I need to get it done. And I have never seen the functionality on basic Coinbase to be able to put a future order in. It's like you either buy now or you sell now, and that's it.
Yeah, and let me ask for one more point of clarity. Do you set prices in Coinbase or are they market orders?
Well, again, I use both. So if I feel like I like something's really happening in the market and I just want it done now, I'll use regular Coinbase. And then like you, I will set some prices in Coinbase Pro for when I want that type of execution.
Interesting. Okay, I think we'll go into that in more detail on another video. But for now, I just wanted to kind of raise that point because for people to protect themselves, you need something like Coinbase Pro to be able to do that. And I think the strategy is a good one. So anyhow, great talking about this topic. It's very relevant. I don't know where the market's going to go exactly, but I have a little confidence right now. But I'll see more I'll feel a lot more confident when I see that marker get up to the mid 40s, and that's where we know that the market's gaining steam. But hopefully we have a long-term recovery and we see new highs here later this summer.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds really good. All I know is I can't believe that Chainlink is back above 30. To me, that's a huge bullish sign.
Yes.
But it's also crazy volatile right now, so I'm not sure how much I can lean on that. But I'm pretty blown away that it broke 30 again. Unbelievable.
Sadly, I didn't have any funds left in my account to buy it under $20. But if
Yeah.
I had, I would have bought plenty of it. I think it's a great bet. So
Okay, great. Well, great chatting with you today. And for anyone watching, if you want to catch future episodes and get this information again in the future, click the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you liked the content. And we'll see you again in the future.
sounds great, Dean.
Okay, talk to you later,
See you
Gary.
later. All right,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.